So the topic here today is what is normal, but personally, I kind of believe that normal is boring, so let's take a look at the opposite side of the spectrum. What is different? Specifically, what I believe makes someone stand out from the crowd. Now, I'm aware that each and every one of you thinks that you're different in your own special way, and that's wonderful. I have nothing against that, but today, the type of distinction I'm talking about is that single trait possessed by all great leaders that acts as a navigator through any obstruction put before them. That voice in their heads that tells them that what they're doing is right, even when the whole world may say that it's wrong. So, in order to find a single worldwide universal answer, I began by comparing myself to the people whom I considered possessed this trait, the people who I thought were different. I asked myself the question, what makes me different than them? Initially, I answered by saying things like inherent talent, money, legacy, or even luck, but then I realized that that wasn't the answer. I realized that from a standpoint of mentality, I was actually no different than these people. I realized that in terms of ambition and aspiration, I was actually quite similar to these people, and that's how I found my answer. I believe that distinction lies in one's perspective toward oneself. I call this idealism. Now, I'd like to begin by asking you a question. Ask yourself the question, do I believe in myself? Although it seems simple enough, it's something most people fail to answer accurately. Chances are you shrugged and said, well, yeah, of course I believe in myself, but think again. I've realized that most people don't rely on their own self-belief and opinion when it comes to decision making. This may be hard to accept, but it's the truth. You look up to your friends, family, and the society you take place in to define what you can and cannot do. Because of this, you limit yourself to what you're good at and dismiss everything else that you might be bad at. And because of this, you have basically become a part of the society. You rely on other people's approval to complement your own accomplishments and therefore solidify your sense of fitting into society. But by doing so, we have created a society full of realists. And don't get me wrong, I'm not necessarily saying that being a realist is a bad thing. I'm just saying that being a realist is not what got me here today. See, I'm a genuine idealist, or at least what I define as idealism. I firmly believe that I can do anything I try as long as I give it my very all. I can become Hollywood's next big movie star, paint the next Mona Lisa, or become the next big name in science. I'm confident in my abilities, and I'm sure that I can steer myself past any obstacle in my way. But although this mentality has gotten me significantly far in life, don't be fooled. It didn't just come to me. Which brings me to my story, and ultimately how I ended up here. 6 years ago, I was living a completely different life. I lived in the Silicon Valley with my mother, father, and newly born sister. I had this routine that consisted of getting up, going to school, hanging out with friends, and then going back home. And I didn't really do much other than that, but honestly, what more could a 12-year-old want? In short, life was phenomenal. I was a healthy fifth grader with exceptional grades, an outstanding social circle, and most importantly, a happy home. Then, one day, everything changed. While my father was out on a business trip, my mother and I decided to go and get some Thai food. There, I had a great time eating, talking, and laughing, but then, all of a sudden, out of the blue, my mother's gaze turned blank, the room went silent, and I was left there confused as to what was going on. Little did I know that my mother was preparing herself to load my 12-year-old self with a 10-ton slab of information. Information that would change my life forever. She told me that my father had received this huge new job offer that would allow us to live under much better circumstances than we already were. She told me we would be eating better food, living in a bigger house, and driving a faster car. And of course I was happy to hear all this. Why wouldn't I be? But then came the catch. This wonderful, utopic job was located halfway across the world in the city of Istanbul. I was shocked. I didn't know how to respond. I was literally left speechless. I didn't know how to react to such information, but I knew that I didn't like it. All the people and places that I had come to love over the past 12 years were suddenly ripped apart from me, and this all happened in a matter of seconds. Then, about a week passes, or a month, I'm not sure, it's blurry, but I'm trying to recuperate and get back on my feet, and I remember so vividly that I was watching this movie while my parents invited me to the kitchen and told me to sit at the table. Upon sitting down, I looked up once again to see blank gazes staring back at me, so I knew this wasn't going to be a good conversation. I thought, what could it be this time? What could make things even worse than they already are? My mom let out this big sigh. She told me that her and my father were getting a divorce. And that's how the final pillar of my life came crashing down. I had no idea what to do and who to turn to. I was literally left hopeless or with no clue. In the following months, I packed my bags, and before moving to Istanbul, any time at school was spent crying. Any time with friends was spent mourning, and I didn't even want to talk to my family anymore. After all that, as I said, I packed my bags, and I got up and moved to Istanbul, where I had a new language, culture, and society to adapt to. I had no idea how, and I was basically alienated in a new world. I was not normal. So, upon moving to Istanbul, my grades plummeted as I struggled to learn Turkish. At school, I was bullied for being supposedly stupid and ugly, and the general gravity of the whole situation had caused me to gain an excessive amount of weight, like I'm talking 100 kilos, and it was a bad time. At first, I succeeded in ignoring my classmates' comments about myself, but after some time, I actually began to acknowledge the things they were saying to me. Sooner or later, the meaningless words of my classmates, my colleagues, had gotten me to stop and think, well, what if you are stupid and ugly? And before you knew it, I found myself struggling to complete even the most simplest of tasks. It goes to show you how powerful your perspective on yourself can be. What you think of yourself is what others will think of you too. And the second that you begin to doubt yourself, the second that you begin to question your abilities, you basically become anything and everything that people define you as. And the negative aspect of it is that people won't generally define you in the most positive light. That's just how things work. I'm sorry, but people will bring you down in order to bring themselves higher up. Anyways, on with my story. 4 years passed in Istanbul, and basically nothing changed. I still had my problems, and they weren't going anywhere. But the only thing that had changed during that period of time is that I'd come to accept other people's opinions on myself as my own. I defined myself as a fat, stupid, and ugly child. Then one night, I couldn't sleep, so I grabbed this book that my dad had given me ages before and began reading purely out of boredom. In this book, the author proposed a thesis that I, the fat, overweight, and ugly child, was no different than the people I considered successful. There we go. And the author proposed that a simple change in mentality could allow me to obtain the same level of supremacy and success as these people. What a bargain for a book that cost like $10, right? So from my experience reading this book, I summarized its main thesis to 3 simple steps. Step number 1. You can achieve the unachievable. Set a goal for yourself and make sure that goal is high. Aim beyond what you're capable of and disregard for where your abilities end. It doesn't matter what other people think of your abilities. What matters is your own perspective. Imagine this. Imagine a room full of people, and you're walking into that room. When walking into said room, if you believe you are the most intelligent or comedic or handsome person there, that's how people will treat you. So what I did upon learning this is I went straight to the bathroom, and I kid you not, I looked at myself in the mirror for about 10 minutes just searching for something positive about myself that I genuinely believed in. Something that I could boast about when walking into said room. So after a couple minutes passed, I realized that I was actually not that ugly, at least to the extent that people told me I was. So I just stood there for the next couple minutes just motivating myself that I was a decent-looking human being. And to my surprise, the next day at school and the following weeks after that, the negative names associated with my appearance gradually began to fade. Which brings me to step 2. It's all your fault. If you have even the slightest involvement in any kind of problem, there is no one to blame but yourself. In order to harbor progression, you must assume complete, utter responsibility over any problem that you have power over. If you have a problem, identify it, go to the mirror again, look at yourself, and say, it's all my fault, every single bit of it. The reason for this is because if you accept total responsibility over a problem, you are in a position to do something about it. You cannot fix a problem that isn't yours. So what I did is, I did exactly that. I went to the mirror and identified my problems. I said, my weight and poor health is a result of my unhealthy eating habits and a technology addiction. My failing grades were a consequence of my procrastination, and my dying social life was a result of my social anxiety. Which brings me to step 3. Do something about it. Take it upon yourself to fix the problems in your life rather than living your life in their shadows. You can basically do anything. The only thing stopping you is yourself. So I did, once again, exactly that. I adopted healthy eating habits and joined a basketball team to counter my weight and therefore end my health problem. I developed studying routines and devoted myself to my academics in order to overcome my procrastination. And I made a friend out of everyone and anyone I could, expanding my social reach to the farthest point I could. And therefore, ending all my problems. So, in summary, I saw that my best efforts conclusively brought resolutions to all my problems, and suddenly, my sadness became fuel to my confidence and joy. See, I genuinely believe I can do anything, and I believe that this is what separates me from most people. I can do anything I try as long as I give it my very best. If I were to continue to live life within the range of approval of others and what others thought I could do, I probably wouldn't be here right now giving you this talk. Instead, I'd probably be at home sitting on the couch, eating Doritos and playing World of Warcraft on my computer. But I'm not. I'm on a stage doing a TED Talk. And I won't stop there either. There's nothing stopping me from becoming an astronaut, a philosopher, a rock star, or a doctor. And that's not something most people can say. To me, it's simply a matter of what I really want to do in life. And don't get me wrong, this isn't just me standing on stage boasting myself that, oh, I'm different and you're not. This is me showing you that you can do the same thing. All you have to do is believe in yourself. Thank you.